We all know how the story goes. Anakin Skywalker falls in love with Padme Amidala at around 9 years old. He puts off a creepy stalker vibe. 10 years later, he's reunited with her, and the creepy stalker vibe intensifies, as does his obsession for her. His love for her. At first, she's like, no, you're in the friend zone. But eventually, she falls prey to his unrelenting pestering. Charm. Anakin and Padme become married, and she becomes pregnant with twins. Yes, I realize you all understand the story, so please bear with me. One of the twins is a female. Not a big deal. People give birth to fraternal twins all the time. But generally, the twins have some sort of personality trait in common. But no, these orphan children are so different from each other. But they're not different from their biological parents, respective to their genders, of course. This focus is going to be on the youngest of the twins. Yes, I know Leia is only a couple minutes younger, still younger. But this is about how Leia and Padme are similar in their stories and their characteristics and all that. So, before we get started, stick around to the end to see the giveaway we're hosting and see whose comment was highlighted from the last video. Also, see why this topic upsets some Star Wars fans, and it isn't what you think. Now, on with today's show. Padme Amidala, the former Queen of Naboo turned senator, a strong and capable leader within the Galactic Senate and throughout the Clone Wars. At 14 years old, she still wasn't the youngest queen to serve her planet. By 23, she was actively engaged in the Clone Wars, not just calling shots behind the scenes from the Senate, but also on the front lines with her secret husband, Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. The rank of Master was just out of his reach, but he was permitted to take a seat on the Jedi Council. Had Ahsoka Tano stayed in the Jedi Order and completed her training, Anakin Skywalker would surely be a Master and be able to stuff it in Mace Windu's face without cutting off his hand. But I digress. Back to Padme. She was a strong character. Princess Leia Organa, twin to Luke Skywalker, son of Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala, adopted daughter to Bail Organa. She became an active member of the Senate by the time she was 18, a little old to be in politics by her mother's standards, but that didn't deter Leia. She also began running mercy missions to planets affected by the Empire's tyranny, while secretly becoming a leader in the Rebel Alliance. So if there's one thing she accomplished that her mother did not, it was that of remaining royalty while being in the Senate. But Grand Moff Tarkin and Darth Vader were onto her little side hustle and destroyed her home planet of Alderaan, along with her entire adopted family and friends. The similarities to both Padme Amidala's and Princess Leia Organa's accomplishments are obvious, like mother, like daughter.
But wait! There's more!
Let's look at the stories of these fine, outstanding young women. As we all know, Padme Amidala was Queen of Naboo, but what I didn't mention was that she was a queen during one of the biggest crises her planet had encountered in recent history. The evil and wicked corporate mongers of the Trade Federation were blockading Naboo over some kind of trade dispute. It wasn't long afterward that Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine, appeared and told the Trade Federation to begin an attack and occupy Naboo.
Lord, is that legal?
I will make it legal.
Come on! If you didn't know that Palpatine and Sidious were one and the same, this line really gave it away. He will make it legal. He's in the Senate. Not to mention, it's the same actor as the Emperor playing both parts. Okay, I'm sorry. I got away from me just a little bit. So the Trade Federation lands their troops in an effort to get Queen Amidala to sign a treaty. That's all a bit confusing for a 12-year-old. Yeah, that's whom George Lucas said these movies were for. Long story short, the Queen is captured and gets rescued by the Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Her security forces weren't enough to keep her safe and she was overwhelmed. Yes, I know the whole queen/handmaiden thingy. Still, she was captured. And that, my friends, is the opening sequences for The Phantom Menace. Fast forward to 31 years or so. Princess Leia Organa, Padme's daughter, speeds her way to Tatooine to pick up Obi-Wan Kenobi in a swift effort. Her efforts to try to get him to help her rebellion against the Empire. But with her are the technical readouts of the most powerful battle station ever created, the small moon-sized Death Star. However, when she is close to her goal, she is cornered by Darth Vader's Star Destroyer and captured. Later, she was rescued by a wannabe Jedi and a retired Jedi, Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sound familiar? That's just a short bit of what happened to both of them. Leia Organa had a smart mouth and a fighting spirit. The same with her mother. They were warriors. One was almost the same as the other. Both had a love interest in which they both avoided for as long as they could, until the creepiness, the charm, was too much for them. Remember, Han Solo cornered Leia in a confined space on the Millennium Falcon and made her like him. That's a bit harassing, borderline rapey. Anakin Skywalker teased Padme with floating fruit. I'm still not positive he didn't use a Jedi mind trick to get her to like him. My point is that both women had the same story, just about. Fighting members of royalty, captured, rescued by Jedi, helped lead rebellions. Remember, Padme Amidala actually helped start the Rebel Alliance in the cutscenes from Revenge of the Sith. Both women were strong warriors and didn't really need a man to define them. But yeah, I'm sure you knew this was coming, and here it goes. Neither woman was the main character of their trilogy. Both were leading women, but they were supporting characters to the main characters. Leia's love story was even secondary to the main arc. Padme of the prequel trilogy and Leia of the original trilogy. Anakin Skywalker was the main character of the prequels and Luke Skywalker was the main character of the originals. The story was about Darth Vader, how he came to be, and his redemption. Both Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker were of a desert planet, stuck, wanting to be something so much bigger than their constraints would allow. With Luke, it was his aunt and uncle. With Anakin, it was his attachment to his mother and the fact he was a slave. Similar stories. I'll get to that in another video though. But Anakin's story wasn't about fulfilling some prophecy. Anakin Skywalker didn't care about that.
Dirty word! He said a dirty word!
Well, it's true, he didn't care about the prophecy. Name one time he mentioned it even. Well, Leia and Padme were written similar. Small details were changed, but both were teenage girls in trouble, and the big strong Jedi showed up to save them, like knights in shining armor. It's classic storytelling, the damsel in distress. It's a theme that has worked for centuries. Look at a lot of the Grimm's fairy tales, Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, etc. No, these were not originally Disney movies nor stories. I hope you really didn't think that. Cinderella goes all the way back to its first iteration by Charles Perrault in 1697. The most notable was written as a cautionary tale by the Brothers Grimm in 1812. It's a popular format, one that has been ingrained in our storytelling for a very long time. But that cycle was broken. The sequel trilogy began in 2015 with another trio of characters at the forefront of a Star Wars trilogy. The dynamic was changed. Rey, a female, is now the main character, not a supporting character, as the females of the former two trilogies had been. A young Force-sensitive trapped on a desert planet. A huge turn of events relieves her from the bonds of servitude, and she's catapulted into a larger worth. Sounds familiar. Wait, this is a copycat of A New Hope. This story should be shunned. Wait, it isn't exactly like it though. This time, the hero is captured, but she doesn't necessarily need rescued. That old storytelling device of the damsel in distress is out the window in this story. Rey is now the reluctant hero, still full of self-doubt and not understanding where she belongs in the universe, but she learns quickly, just as Luke Skywalker had before her. She even changes her name to Skywalker at the end of the trilogy in an effort to dump her evil lineage and piss off a lot of Star Wars fans. Call it usurpation of a name if you want, but you're just being a social justice warrior for Luke and Leia at this point. By the way, they didn't seem to mind Rey's chosen last name, and had Ben Solo lived, she would have become related to them anyway. No, I don't want to hear your arguments about how the sequel sucked or is garbage. I've been hearing it for a long time, and it isn't to praise the sequels. This is to show how Leia and Padme were written the same way, as was Luke and Anakin. But a lot of fans got upset when Rey wasn't written as a supporting character, but rather a strong forward character. Even said it was too much like A New Hope. Well, Anakin was written like Luke Skywalker and Padme was written like Leia from A New Hope. These are called themes, but really what upset everyone is that Rey took on Luke and Anakin's theme, and Finn took on more of a helpless damsel's theme. Poe was still the Han Solo of the trilogy. That's the biggest reason some fans hate Rey. She took the power shift toward a female character. Now we hear fans screaming, SJW, woke Disney, every time a woman shows up in a Star Wars project, especially when one shows up in a leading role. Remember, we had only seen 2 prominent women in the original trilogy. Now the galaxy seems to be about the same ratio of men to women as our own planet. But that's really the point of this video. Padme and Leia were written so much alike, as were Luke and Anakin. Yet when the thematic elements swapped genders, the fandom exploded in a fit of rage. And I kinda get it, I guess. I mean, for a long time, Star Wars fans were just chubby nerds who sat in their mama's basement. I'm not much different to that, only I'm in the basement of my family home with my wife and kids. So yeah, I kinda get it, but guys, you gotta get with the times. Things are changing. They're coming up with the times. This isn't the 1970s anymore. But I'll get into more about how I feel about the words woke and SJW being used as an insult in another video. But for now, that's all I have. Now I'd like to take the time to highlight the top comment from the last video. This comment comes from Great Big Tree Hugger, and I love the name by the way. And this is what Tree Hugger had to say about the look of the Grand Inquisitor. Thanks for the insightful video and saying what needs to be said. The acting and portrayal of any character is always the most important factor. Besides, if it was CGI, haters would hate the CGI. And thank you so much for that comment, and I couldn't agree more. Haters gonna hate. And thank you all for the great comments. I really like the way we are communicating in a respectful way. We don't always have to agree, but let's stay respectful. I appreciate every one of them and have read every comment. Keep them coming and see if you're the next top comment. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out. By doing so, you enter yourself into a drawing for a chance to win this Sideshow and Hot Toys Winter Soldier figure. Once I get to 25,000 subscribers, I'll choose one subscriber to donate it to. And by choose, I mean it is going to be totally random, just as my last drawing for the members was totally random. And I want to thank Emmy Mark, who's a longtime contributor here, for donating this piece to this project. So, I can't wait to hit that 25,000 subscriber mark to see who gets the figure. This has been Gerald from Star Wars Fanatic telling you keep Star Wars positive, wishing you great health and happiness. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.